world? Welcome to Apocaflix Now, the movie hangout show from us Apocaflix Movies. Sorry for the late start. My internet is bugging the heck out, like literally at 7:30 on the dot. But we are here to bring you the show, and for the first time in a while, we are starting with the full crew in the house: Gio Ramos, Brian Avlicino, Keith Barnes, Jake Berlin, and I'm your host, Jacob Bartley. What is up, guys? It's good to see all of your faces at once.
Mm-hmm. It's good to have the five of us back together again. Hey.
And might add, everyone has solid internet.
Why?
Ethernet.
Why would you jinx it? Why?
Ethernet cable, baby.
Except me, apparently.
Look,
I had to say it. I knew it was
No,
going to
I-
rise out of someone.
Hey, no, I'm okay with that's a good thing. But what the hell's going on, man? This is crazy.
You know, it's the world we live in right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, we have a ton of stuff to get to today. Some pretty cool stuff, new things, new movies, new news, a couple updates with our channel, things like that. We will get to it. But first and foremost, as always, we're going to touch on the movie watching challenge. And I was challenged this past week to watch Brightburn, a movie that surprisingly I haven't seen yet. It was on my radar. It's one of those that you see and you're like, oh, I got to see that, and then I just happened to miss it. Kind of fell by the wayside there, and a couple of the guys here had recommended it to me, but somebody challenged me to it. I believe that was Jake, right?
no.
Oh, it was Keith. Did we ever reveal that?
We did not ever reveal that.
Oh,
no.
okay. Because we're supposed to know who it was. Like, that's the only one we get to find out is the one that won. And
How could you not know that? As much as I've talked to you on this show, on Bartley and Barnes about this movie, I'm disappointed. I thought you would know that right away.
The only reason I was confused is because Jake has also mentioned it to me like several times.
I have.
saying that should
I
watch
definitely
it.
have. You
Yes.
are correct.
So it was one of you two. I knew that for sure. And
Yes.
yeah. So the thing is with this movie, when it came out, it kind of got mixed reviews. Like a lot of people liked it, some people didn't like it, and overall, I think it's very enjoyable. Like I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's entertaining. I think it's very entertaining. Like what I'm saying is like I don't love it, but I really like it a lot. Like it's a very fun movie. It depends on the person who I would recommend it to. Like it's pretty gory. There's a few really gory scenes, and I don't mind that stuff. But like I know Brian doesn't like gore, so I don't know if he would. If that
I
bothered
liked
him
this
or not.
movie, so boo.
Yeah, but
you.
you usually, hey, we can't over the moon love every movie that we get challenged
You said he
to.
liked it.
But no, I do like it, and it is very interesting. Because it's obviously a play on Superman. What if he wasn't so good-hearted? And I think that concept is just incredible. And this is pretty terrifying because it's a young boy who has no, when you're 10 years old, you're still growing up. You don't know what right and wrong is completely. And this kid just loses it. And the thing that, and I don't want to like do any spoilers necessarily, but obviously, he kills some people in the movie if you haven't seen it. And the thing for me is one of the things that make me like, one of the negatives I would say is he kills people who were nice to him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? So he's
a bad guy.
Kill
He sucks.
people only because he has motivation to kill them. It's just like, oh, you pissed me off one little time, you're gonna die type thing. And obviously he's a kid, so I guess that's kind of what kids do, how a kid would act, I guess. But overall, I love the concept and the world, kind of little world that they built in the play on Superman. And I always love Elizabeth Banks in anything, but overall I did like it, but I didn't love it.
That is the most 50-50 review we've had in a while. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Did you watch the
challenge?
after credit?
Yeah, so that is very interesting. I would love for them to continue with something in this world to explore that, and I thought that was pretty cool, to be honest. Like for me, I love world building and like sequels and spin-offs, things like that. So I think that would be really cool if they explored this world further. I don't know how it did financially, but
Oh, nobody saw it.
Yeah, if they could do a sequel or something, I would be down for that.
Everyone here is Gio. You saw it, right? Everybody here seen it? Oh
no,
no.
has everyone seen it?
Okay. Yes.
Is this the movie where the car's wrecked and the guy's looking at the boy from a distance and the boy does some effed up stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Instagram reels.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and you see I think the woman's like in the fridge or the cat, not the like the closet at the store,
Like
and you see him come after her. There's a lot of those things, and man, this kid, man, he has no boundaries. Like right away, he's just like sneaking into people's houses and stuff, and it's like the thing is they didn't know that he was like this, even though they thought it was weird that he never got hurt his whole life, things like that. I'm like, I would not mess with this kid. If you had any suspicion that he was not normal, I would not mess with him. Everybody's yelling at him and grabbing his arm. No, leave him alone. Be super nice to this kid. That's what I would be doing if I was in this movie.
So I have a question for you guys. Since all of you have seen it, who's more scary, the boy in Brightburn or Dane DeHaan in Chronicle?
The boy from Brightburn.
I'll tell you, and Brightburn, and I'll tell you why.
Bye, Brandy. Thank you.
Hi, Brandy.
Hello, Brandy. I don't know you.
Hi, Brandy.
I'll tell you what. The answer is the boy.
I agree with
Brightburn.
Keith.
The reason is, and without mild spoiler maybe, but there's no one to stop him at this point.
Exactly.
At least
there's no other person like him.
In Chronicle, at least there was the other kid who also had powers and could fight Dane DeHaan. And as far as we know, at this point, like I said, in Brightburn, there's no one to stop this kid. So
that's what I was.
So he's Homelander.
I'm like,
yes, that's good. Yes,
like,
but see, there's no team. That's exactly. I was just listening to someone talk about this movie, and they're like, you'd have to call in, like they could maybe cross this over with the boys, because that's what you would need is some kind of a team to stop this one, because there's nothing anybody can do. I don't want to spoil it. Yeah.
Hey, I will say this, and we had said that the movie didn't make any money. Does anybody have a guess as to what kind of budget this movie had?
I'm assuming it's low.
Under 10 million.
I was gonna say 10 million.
I was gonna say 12, but
I'll say 30 million.
7 million.
It was made for $6 to $10 million.
Wow.
You want to know what its box office was?
Not
30, 35,
32 million.
Oh, okay. So
that's a big plus in that kind of movie size.
So it was profitable.
It was profitable, but not enough to like.
But you also have to keep in mind that I was looking at the U.S. box office. I haven't looked at the international, and we haven't looked at the home video sales. I guarantee you, it's done bonkers on home video since quarantine too.
Maybe.
Yeah, and it's not easy to find either. I had to do a free trial of Stars to watch it because, like, otherwise.
Oh, you should have told me I have Stars.
Oh wow! I'll just cancel it before.
Hey, Jacob, make sure you cancel that trial, bro, before the trial ends. And
you
get
I will, but
a year.
The thing is, it was either that or buy it for $12.99. I was like, what? So I just did the free trial of Stars, and I already set a reminder to cancel it.
So would you guys rather have a sequel to Brightburn or a sequel to Dread?
Dread?
Dread, yeah.
I haven't seen Dread, so.
I mean, the thing is,
hey, as far as I know, like, you and I are the only ones who love Dread.
Dread is heavily beloved. Like, it's become a cult classic for modern film fans. And this movie is like, not everybody loves it.
This is cool as a one-off. Dread needs like a fucking franchise. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I mean, you got Carl Urban in there, who's just the best.
You got Billy Butcher, man. Come on, give him some.
He is. I
want a sequel to this because I just want to see someone destroy this kid. That's all.
I want to see an evil version of Aquaman, man. That's what I want to see. That'd be dope.
Well,
that might be the deep. That might be the deep from the boys.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, is this a crossover? Like, is this?
I mean, like a legit evil bad guy. The Deep is like he's all messed up.
Yeah.
Well,
he's cleansed now.
I want to talk about it. We can't spoil, but
talk about it later. So
that's a good question. Sorry, cut you off. If you made me choose to watch one, what would I watch?
The new one.
The new one.
Dread.
The 90s one is very cheesy.
It's don't even.
I haven't even seen the '90s one, but I'm just.
I am the law.
It's a cool watch. It's a cool watch, but it's out of
It's-
all of Sylvester's movies, it's the cheesiest out of all.
Very silly. Yeah, it's
I think I'm gonna watch that this week.
if you're a Judge Dredd, if you're a fan of Dredd back then,
No, Brian, don't watch it yet.
very
Why?
annoying.
You say that about all these movies I want to watch.
Brian,
League
watch
of
whatever you want to watch, Brian.
Red. All these, I can't watch.
Yeah,
You guys have infinite amount of movies.
we have to shorten the list, okay, Brian? Start
Yeah.
watching some movies, bud.
Exactly.
Start
Just
watching
make sure you
movies.
mark-
Watch movies that I don't want to challenge you to. That's the problem.
There's so many
In the
though.
challenge.
Hey, just make sure you're marking them off, Brian, after you watch them,
Yeah,
I do.
so we don't challenge you to that.
Somebody else doesn't.
Okay, so let's go to the other part of the movie watching challenge, and I have challenged Jake to be the next viewer in the movie watching challenge, and we're gonna go ahead and reveal those 4 movies that have been chosen.
All right. So the 4 movies that Jake has been challenged to are A Beautiful Mind, 25th Hour, The 13th Warrior, and Clue the movie. So,
Wow.
yes, that
Interesting batch there.
yes, it is quite the mix of
You know what's funny?
What?
You know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only is the 13th Warrior on our list?
I believe so, because this person's been trying to
Oh,
challenge
it is. Okay.
for the last
All right.
year.
I wasn't sure. Okay. Okay. Okay.
2 of these movies are not on the list. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
So with that, Jake, that means you get to choose between either
Randomized.
Well, I can
or-
already. So I'm just going to step in now because I can already see the comments
Yeah.
coming in. I'm
Wow.
going to pick a number this time. I'm going to switch it up.
Oh, okay.
I'm
not gonna
going to
let
pick
me
it up. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to pick a number. We're going to go a little old school in this one.
Okay.
And
Okay, by
so-
the way, so people, I'm tired of you guys accusing me of cheating. So I put a random order and I'm going to show it to you to prove it. Actually, hold on.
No, wait. You can't show me. You can't show with me here
Yes, I can. It doesn't. What does it matter? You're picking.
because I have to pick a number.
Exactly. I'm
Well,
not
you
going to
can show after, I think.
Oh, okay.
But you know what's good about this, Jake, is you have more time to watch it. You don't have to wait till Thursday to find out.
It wouldn't have mattered. I will say this real quick while Brian's writing. I checked the poll for your poll, Jacob. Brightburn and Demolition Man are actually tied at 38% right now. With over
What happened after though? After
with
Thursday?
over 100 votes, it
Yeah.
tied after we had decided.
Interesting. Okay.
It was super close. the other
Yes,
day.
Rachel, you very much did show your hand.
Okay. I'm going to do this from now on because I'm tired of you guys' nonsense. All right. It is ready.
Number 4.
You have been challenged to the 13th Warrior,
Yes.
There you go.
which
Yes.
was Gio's movie.
Jake has no idea what that movie's about, and that's exciting.
It's a good movie.
I mean, it looks like some crazy medieval stuff-ish, kind of, sort of, because of the
Hey,
picture.
Jake, Vikings, and a whole bunch of
I love myself
swords
some
and
Antonio
fighting.
Banderas, so I'm down for it.
John McTiernan. Keith, you know who John McTiernan is. We miss him in Hollywood. He directed Die Hard, Predator,
Die Hard.
Red October, Die Hard with a
Mhm.
Vengeance, the Thomas Crown Affair, and Last Action Hero. This guy is an action
Ooh, Last Action Hero.
That's
I'm
actually a
game.
solid list.
I love that movie.
man. Jake,
Mhm.
I hope you like this movie. I'm excited for you, man.
Let's see if it's available anywhere. Do my research.
If not, I'll Venmo you, and you just buy it and own it.
I remember. I forgot what this is based off of. I had to watch this movie for a class like last semester, but so it's based on something. I forget what it is, but it's a good movie though. Definitely. And Antonio Banderas, man, we need more.
It is not available anywhere, so bummer.
Really.
Really?
That's okay though. That's good. I'll just rent it. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
I'm Venmoing you right now, buddy.
Hey, I don't mind the $2.99
Stop it.
rentals, but I'm not gonna buy Brightburn for $12.99 digital. Maybe if it was a Blu-ray, I would buy it for $12.99, but I'm not gonna buy it on digital for $12.99.
To be fair,
All right,
the
there
two
you go.
movies you guys challenged me to, I
Watching-
actually would have bought.
13th Warrior for next Tuesday's show. Before we move on, let's tell you a little bit about our podcast. If you haven't checked us out on your podcast platforms, please do so. You can find us at Apocaflix Movies on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. I personally like Google Podcasts. It works very well, but there's a lot of good options out there for everybody. Please subscribe and comment and rate as well. That really, really helps us out. Really just shows these places that people are listening and interacting with our podcast. So we'd really appreciate it. And these are great for drives or, when you're at the gym, or if you don't want to have your YouTube video up on your screen while you're listening to us, go check us out there. We would really appreciate it. And for now, we're going to move on to the news. We're going to go to Jake Berlin with the news.
Yeah, so this came out today, actually. This came out this...
You have to say what today is before we start the news. Jake, you only created the phrase.
Oh, Tuesday News Day.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's so Tuesday News Day.
It would have been a very simple episode if this didn't come out. And so this morning it was announced via Deadline that The Lion King will officially be getting a sequel. The sequel is currently in development. No official release date or any kind of plot points were announced other than Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk director Barry Jenkins will be helming the project. He will be stepping in the director's chair for this one, which is a big, big deal. He is an Oscar-winning director, Oscar-winning filmmaker, and he's the real deal. He is the real deal, guys, and he's going to make an impact on this movie. And the fact that Disney got him to do this film is clearly a very big sign. There were also rumors going around for this that it will, in fact, possibly be telling the origin story of Mufasa in flashback form. And so,
really, because I heard
it's not going to follow the sequel of Lion King 2, the animated version. It's going to be a direct sequel to the live action version. Going to go in its own direction. The origin story of Mufasa is not going to be the main line. It's going to be just in flashback form, probably as Simba continues his journey forward as being king of the Pride Lands. And so, yeah, it's a cool discussion to have. Obviously, I know where everyone else stands with the Lion King. And so let's not try to get too much in hate about all this. But thoughts, everyone. Jacob, I'll go and start with you, sir.
So the thing is, I didn't love the, I don't want to say live action, but the remake of Lion King, the CGI remake of Lion King. I didn't love it. Didn't do enough for me to differentiate itself, even though it's visually absolutely beautiful. But this actually excites me, to be honest. If they announced that Jon Favreau was doing Lion King 2, I would not be excited. I love Jon Favreau. He's one of the best minds in Hollywood today. No question about that. But that doesn't excite me. My problem with The Lion King was the story didn't engage me enough. And not that Barry Jenkins is a better storyteller than Jon Favreau, but he's just different. I have loved Barry Jenkins' work recently. He's incredible. And the thing for me is the visuals are still going to be great. They're probably going to have the same visual team working on it. So I think that is going to stay consistent, how beautiful the film's going to look. What can you do now with the story and the characters that are going to make somebody like me who wasn't impressed with the first one really love this next one? You get a director like Barry Jenkins who, if you've seen Moonlight, if you've seen Beale Street Could Talk, he heavily focuses on character and story. And he's somebody who can take these characters and do something really interesting with them. So when I saw this, I was actually surprisingly really excited for Lion King 2 now. I'm down.
Brian?
Do I need or want it? No. Am I intrigued by the director? Absolutely. To be honest, I haven't seen Moonlight, but I've seen If Beale Street Can Talk, and that movie is incredible. it's incredible. That's literally the word I can describe for it. I was not wowed by Lion King personally. I mean, I think we just did our rankings and it was in the bottom 10 of mine. So frankly, I don't really need it. Do I want it? No, not really either. The only thing that makes me curious is the director, because if you're grabbing someone that has won a Best Picture nominee or Best Picture award to make this movie, and then for me seeing what I saw with If Beale Street Could Talk, that intrigues me more than anything else. So, yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. Do I want and or need it? No. It's definitely not on my list of the sequels that I would want them to make. I'd rather see Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, a lot of more sequels before this one. But you have piqued my curiosity with the director. So I'll give them that at least.
Gio?
Yeah, these Disney live action projects have been kind of hit or miss, in my opinion. Wasn't really a big fan of Mulan, especially after watching it a second time. And the same goes for The Lion King. You know, I think I talked about this before, but it came too soon after The Jungle Book, where it already had that wow factor and the visuals and whatnot. And so The Lion King didn't really present anything new. It also felt a little rushed, in my opinion. It could have came out later on, but bringing back Barry Jenkins, Oscar-winning filmmaker, and like Jacob said, he's all about story and character. The story sounds like Godfather Part 2, where he's just going to go back and from the original Dons and back in his heyday. Which could be interesting. I was hoping that they would loosely follow the animated sequel, because I think He Lives in You is up there as far as like Disney songs. It's right up there with Circle of Life. I mean, that song is just so beautiful and well written. So yeah, I think Barry Jenkins is definitely somebody I'm excited about to be stepping into the blockbuster realm of Hollywood. I think this could be the start of something exciting where he'll take on bigger projects and not just indie movies, because I really think he's that talented of a director.
Keith.
I'm one of the few people that, in a very small minority, that I don't revere The Lion King like everyone else was, So
I agree. I agree with you. I'm not a huge Lion King person.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, and you're talking about the original, or
yes,
or no? Yeah?
Everything that has to do with the Lion King that exists.
Wow.
I don't care that much. That's pretty good. I watched the animated original last year, before the movie came out, the new one, and I was like, okay, I remember it was better. I liked it better than I did when I saw it however many years ago. For a long time, I just hadn't seen it, so. It's just one of those things. It's been overhyped for so. I don't want to say overhyped, but everyone loves it so much. It's just like, okay, all right, fine. But and watching the new one, I'm curious, Jacob, because you said that you weren't engaged by the story, but it's the Lion King. It's the same.
I know. That's the thing. That's the thing. It was too similar to the original for me. So like, I want a remake to do something different to like differentiate itself.
Okay.
So that's part of why the story didn't engage me. I love the original animated one, so much. Yeah.
I had a similar-ish. Now I actually like Mulan, the new one, but at the same time, I had the same thought. Like, well, I like this. I really did, but it's like, well, it's Mulan. So it's kind of, I could just watch Mulan again if I wanted to, but you get the same thing. Like, you get all the visuals and all that stuff, and that's really what they're selling here. So I don't mind, and it leads to something we were talking about the other day on the watch along about remakes, which that's going to be another discussion. But I don't mind. Like, you could remake anything, and including animated films. So I don't mind that they remade it, because you want to get a new generation of fans into it. So wasn't there a sequel to The Lion King? I've watched very few Disney sequels. I like all the Aladdin ones.
Simba's Pride.
Well, wasn't there one where
Wasn't there like 1.5?
Yep.
And a TV series, but wasn't there one where Nala, is that her name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't there one where she was like in charge, where she was ruling over the?
Maybe there was like a straight to video third one, I think, or
Maybe it's that one.
maybe
Yeah,
you're talking about that one.
because Simba sucks. That's what I was expecting to hear, is that they were going to do. Having said all that, flashbacks of Mufasa's. Stop! God, everybody wants to make a sequel where it's a prequel to where somebody was younger, and that's a story that.
Well, this isn't a prequel though. This is just showing. It's going to show flashbacks. Is there anything wrong?
I know it's not a prequel, but flashbacks. Okay, well, if it's advancing the story, similar like what Gio said with Godfather 2, where we're showing parallels between the two characters. There's a lot going on in Godfather 2. I don't want to go into that, but if that's the case, then I would find that interesting. Because in the Godfather 2, you got Michael Corleone, who's like can't understand why he's not getting all the reverence and respect that his father did, and if you're getting that same thing with Simba parallel with Mufasa, then I would find that kind of interesting. So in that sense, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, I'm the one out of the five of us that liked The Lion King the most, and maybe it's just me being biased because it's my all-time favorite animated movie. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I said that I would have much rather have seen the movie be something different from the animated movie, because that's the point I want to see for these remakes. I want to see a la Mulan because we have those animated versions, we have those movies that we can go back to. I want to see these live action remakes, or these remakes, just to be something different. Jacob had said it, just do something different from the original, because we have these movies already, and this is their opportunity to do that. It's not going to be a remake of Lion King 2. It's not going to be 1.5 or anything they've ever done before. It's going to be something different. If I'm not mistaken, we've never seen the quote-unquote origin story of Mufasa, or just events that happened of him before he died, which is interesting to me because he seemed like the best leader that the Pride Land has ever seen. And I want to see moments of that, of struggle maybe, or stuff that goes on with Scar as they're younger, or just their upbringing maybe. And, how Keith said, how it parallels to Simba as he's going through this growing period as a king. I imagine it'll probably be set a few years after, or a number of years after, maybe a big chunk of time. And we see him have kids, and something happens, obviously, and they kind of parallel that with Mufasa's backstory. But I like it. I like it a lot. I think that out of all of the live action movies to this point, outside of Aladdin, which is my favorite, and Cinderella is probably a close tie, or if not a little bit higher, this is the one I want to see a sequel to the most. I don't care much for a sequel to Beauty and the Beast. I still have yet to see Dumbo, so I can't say much about that. Yeah, and at the moment, I don't need a sequel to Mulan, and so there's really 2 or 3 of them that I want to see sequels to, and this is the one that I want to see a sequel to. And I'm glad that it's not Jon Favreau coming back. He's obviously busy with The Mandalorian, but I also think having a new director step on and do something different to it is needed, because Jon Favreau isn't the one who is responsible for the creation of the technology for how they're able to build this universe. He obviously is the director, but there's a giant team behind him that does this, and any director can step in that shoe, and that team can team with that director. And so having that team with Barry Jenkins makes sense. They can create the same effect as the first one, but like Jacob had said, story comes to the top of the list at this point. Mm-hmm. The characters are developed; they're there. You obviously want to further them, but now you have the opportunity to tell a legit story inside this universe of lions and animals in the kingdom and the tiers of the kingdom and how it all works with a story that we've never seen before. That isn't animated or from the original live action movie of was it last year it came out, last July, right? I think it was
Not too long ago, yeah. I
See,
think it was 2019 July.
I think it was 2019, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The Lion King.
Lion King, yes. Yeah.
When were we in Comic-Con? Yeah, that's when.
Yeah, I think it was last year. And so yeah, I think I like it. I really do like it. I think it's a smart move. I want to see it. I hope they take their time. I don't want them to rush it, but I know that Disney live action movies, as far as announcements, we don't have much of them coming at the moment. And there's a lot of rumors, but nothing is like official. And at the moment, for Disney to say, hey, this is the first live action sequel that we're giving outside of Maleficent, it's a pretty big deal because, that means they have confidence in it going forward. And maybe it all came down to Barry Jenkins' pitch. Maybe he went in there's like, look, this is what I'm pitching. And Disney's like, wow, that's effing bonkers. I want to make that movie. And so who knows, but I'm 100% down for it. And stepping away from my thoughts real quick, because I do want to answer some questions in the chat. I know there were some that came through, and Brian had put this. So James Earl Jones returning as Mufasa for flashbacks. I would imagine so. The problem is his voice is much older than it was in the originals, and you can tell in last movie. So I don't know how that's going to work.
He's
I don't know. I think
late,
they might
man.
get somebody else, to be honest. Because
Yeah, Mahershala Ali.
even when he does Vader in Rogue One, you could tell he sounds older. Is a thing, but who knows? You can't replace that voice though. But we'll see.
To be honest, it's funny because the first thing I thought of was, are all these actors going to come back for the sequel? That was
the next one.
I would imagine so.
I would say you get the main ones because you're not going to need Chiwetel Ejiofor for Scar unless you do flashbacks with him, which probably wouldn't require a lot of work because if it is flashbacks don't take precedence in the story. You would need Donald Glover, you would need Beyonce, you would need John Oliver, Seth Rogen, and Billy. What's his name?
Billy.
Is that the voice of Timon, right?
Yes, I'm forgetting his name.
Oh,
So
my God.
I can't remember.
And
either.
quite honestly,
Billy Eichner.
there you go, Billy Eichner. So that's not like a huge cast to get back.
Yeah, I think those ones you just mentioned have to come back because
I do think that you get them back.
a huge selling point is like having Beyonce as Nala, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I think,
Yeah.
and then you could do more songs, whatever they're going to do. So the thing for me is I wonder if Barry Jenkins is writing, because if he's writing as well, at least partially,
I bet you he'd be co-writing. Yeah,
that'd be huge. Yeah.
I think he's involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I mean, he wins Oscars, and in his movies he co-writes or writes. So
Exactly. I mean, if Beale Street Could Talk was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, so
it would make sense.
huge.
That movie is beautiful.
I actually like the fact that Mulan didn't do the exact remake of Dune made version, sort of did a historical epic based on the real Mulan instead of making it a musical. Yeah, I do think the sequel will probably still keep the songs because they've already kind of etched it into the universe that that's the kind of movie it is. But that doesn't mean it has to be full of them. It could just have a few of them. So.
Yeah, and while Mulan did kind of follow the same story as the animated one, I mean, that's just the story of Mulan. It didn't have the music and Mushu, which it was better off not having those things. And you heard the score, like the Make a Man Out of You was mixed into the score, which was I love that song and that like the music of that. So it's pretty cool. So I mean Lion King 2 is definitely going to have songs. I would imagine so. I mean, that's why they get Beyonce in the role and Donald Glover as well.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap up that part, Jacob, if we want to move on.
All righty. So as you guys may have noticed, I wasn't on the watch long last Thursday, and we'll just have a few schedule shifts going on. I started a new job where I'm not available on Thursdays, and not that the whole Apocaflix now revolves around my schedule, but just I think we just figured it's best for everybody. We're still gonna do Tuesdays live. That's gonna stick and stay. But we're actually the Thursday show is gonna have a little bit of change. We're gonna actually start pre-recording the Thursday shows and premiering them, and those are gonna be our more game night type ones, or the ones where we're doing trivia matches, things like that. And you guys will know what we're doing ahead of time, so you can like hopefully participate. And the fun thing about that is, thank you, Rachel. The fun thing about that is we're going to be able to interact with you guys in the chat and stuff while the game nights are going on, or whatever's going on. If it's a trivia match between two of us, or four of us, we can kind of, not that we're going to spoil anything, but we can interact with you guys in the chat. Whereas when we're doing the podcast or the show, we can't be all up in the chat writing the whole time. So we can actually talk to you guys during the whole Thursday show, which is going to be a positive in my opinion. But overall, we're still doing Tuesdays live. That's not going to change. But just a little change there for our channel. For now, it's not permanent, but that's what it's going to be for the moment. Jake, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, we go through changes, and unfortunately, we can't make podcasting our full-time job as much as we would want to. We just can't, and some things come up. Yeah, not yet, exactly. And I know that someday it could very well be possible for us, but there's going to be times where we change things, and we have to work around each other's schedules, because our whole goal as a channel is, and you guys can probably say this as viewers, but the show's better when we're all on it together, and we don't want it to be just two of us or three of us, and this person on this day or whatever. And so we're trying our best to make sure that as many of us as possible can be on each episode. And it could just be for a little while that the premieres happen. We can go back to live soon, but it's not going to change anything major, because it's still the same day, it's still the same time. Which is what we're trying to do. We're not trying to change it back to another day or anything like we previously did. And I will add this, because we're still shifting and figuring out our exact times when we're recording. The fantasy draft will actually will be pushed back until next week. I know we said on Friday's watch along that it'll be this week. We're going to push back the Back to the Future recasting draft until next week, so we can all pre-record it and all five of us can be on it together rather than just three or four of us. And so that'll be next week, and then Thursday's show will be another fun subject to talk about, where we'll be a hangout and chat. So yes, Rachel, I do have to do a little editing, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Don't let Jacob fool you guys. This is the Jacob rule. He demanded we make all these changes. We're lucky that we're even doing the recording part. He demanded he be on every show. It's been in his contract. You look at his contract.
Don't give my secrets away, Keith. Come on now. All right. Well, yeah, it's going to be fine. We're still going to be here. We're still be doing our shows. So it'll be all good. So let's move on to some Enola Holmes. We're going to have a full spoiler review. Hopefully everybody on the show got a chance to check it out. And I'm actually excited about this. I have become a Millie Bobby Brown fan, obviously from Stranger Things, but from other things as well.
Ditto.
And this movie just put her on a whole nother level for me, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, I'm fascinated with the Sherlock Holmes stuff just in general. Like, I love the Robert Downey Jr. ones. Every time there's and I haven't seen the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock show, which I want to, but I love the Sherlock Holmes mythology, and a lot of people could make the argument that it's overdone, but I thought, this was a very unique idea. So we're going to get into it. Let me see here. The Harry Bradbeer, which I've never heard of this director before, directed film, a Netflix movie starring Millie Bobby Brown, of course, Henry Cavill, Sam Claflin, and Helena Bonham Carter. And I guess Louis Partridge was the young man in the film as well. I'm not familiar with him at all. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. Has everybody seen it?
Brian has not.
Yes.
That's fine.
We're gonna spoil it, man.
No, that's fine. I honestly, to be completely honest, it just didn't really appeal to me. Like,
you, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
If I was to watch it, it would have been like a forcing myself. So I'm actually kind of hoping by doing this, it'll intrigue me to go watch it. So
interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, there's
you
can't control how you feel about
Get a bottle of liquor, pour yourself one, and have fun.
Serious. Then I will be asleep.
Well, for me, as soon as I forgot it was coming out, as soon as I saw it on Netflix, I started it when I saw it. Well, let's start with you then, Jake. You obviously were optimistic about watching it. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. I've been excited about it because I like the cast. We had mentioned Millie Bobby Brown. We've talked about her a lot. We just mentioned her a little bit on our recent casting table, which you can check out on the channel now. We casted Rapunzel, and we mentioned her very briefly. But yeah, I think that she is going to be a fucking rock star. She is going to take over the universe and be someone who is around for a very, very, very long time. Both television and film. Once the Stranger Things thing ends, she'll be able to branch out her wings a little bit. We saw her in the Godzilla sequel, obviously, and she'll be back for the Godzilla vs. Kong. But we'll be able to see her a lot more in movies. And I know that this was easier for her because it was Netflix driven. And then the addition of Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin were great. I think that Henry Cavill really played a great version of Sherlock. And I love the fact that they weren't in it as much as you probably expected them to be. I know that Henry Cavill's Sherlock is very different from the typical Sherlock, but I have it in mind that every time that we see one of these versions of Sherlock, just like Robert Downey Jr.'s, they kind of just reinterpreted the character, reinterpreted the character is what I'm trying to say. And the addition of Enola brings that out in this type of character because she is unlike a character I've seen in this universe. Obviously, I've never experienced an Enola Holmes before. I know that she's a previously based character, but I don't have any prior experience with her. I liked the way that they were going with it. I think that the story decisions were really cool. Kind of how they set her up. And I'll say this: the fourth wall aspect is really cool as well with Millie Bobby Brown. You get it right off the bat in the opening scene. It wasn't used too much; it was used at the perfect times. And I think that she did a really good job with it because we know that not all actors and actresses can pull off fourth wall. And I think she did it really, really well. Sam Claflin was great as Mycroft. I think that he's just an asshole sometimes, and he plays that asshole character very, very well. I also liked Helena Bonham Carter as her mother, even though we didn't see her much. And I do not know how I feel about the fact that story wasn't wrapped up completely at the end, but I understand why, because they're trying to set up things down the road. I think it was finished enough to make me satisfied. But I will say this: I was not expecting the incredibly violent action that happened in this movie. There were some moments where I was like, wow, like,
yes,
my goodness, they actually went there with a 17-year-old frail little girl. Like, they actually went there, and they would throw her up against a wall or up against some armor or something, and I'm just sitting there like, wow.
Or some of the things that she did to people when.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, she faced off against like a 45-year-old man and like kicked his ass. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, I was totally for that. Like, that was a cool aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed and wasn't expecting. And so that was a fun part of it. And I think it's a cool addition to the universe. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was quirky. I thought it was different. I appreciate that they didn't put Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin in the forefront. Henry Cavill probably had 10 minutes of screen time, if not less, which was really cool. And I love their relationship. I think their relationship is so cool, especially towards the end with Enola and Sherlock. And so I'd be so down for a sequel and more of these, especially with Millie Bobby Brown, because she's so charming and unique compared to a lot of girls her age. And so, yeah, I think that if you have not seen Enola, I definitely recommend because it's a lot of fun and different and something that Netflix doesn't have. So you sound like Mycroft. You're right. You're right.
You guys, my thoughts align very similarly to Jake's. Does anybody else have a different opinion so we could mix it up here a little bit before I talk about my thoughts?
Not really.
So you guys liked it as well?
Unless you want to, no, I was going to say, if you want to, I don't know if you wanted to go or not. I mean, yeah, but
I'll just say, like, look, it's not a fantastic movie. Like, it's not in my top 5 movies of the year, the 2020 year, but I really enjoyed it. The thing with her is I've never watched a movie where she carried the whole thing, right? You know, in Stranger Things, it's an ensemble, and in Godzilla versus, King of the Monsters, whatever, she barely talked. Like, she was just a lot of facial expression, so you couldn't really tell. And she got to just be herself in this, not be herself, but like have her British accent in this movie and all that. So this really showed me that she can act and she could carry a film. And I joked with
This
Gino,
is what showed you? Not
Yeah.
Stranger Things, not anything else. This is what
Like,
finally.
It's because she's the sole lead. Like the movie is focused on her.
like she's talking like 70% of the movie is her talking.
She's in almost just about every scene in this movie.
Yeah,
so,
she's in. There's a few scenes where it's just like Mycroft and Sherlock, but she's in probably 96% of the movie.
Yeah, and I joked with Gio before he saw it. I was like, "This is Millie Bobby Brown doing her best Harley Quinn impression, like talking to the camera and doing things like that." So that's not easy to do because you have to.
There's your reboot right there.
Yeah, you have to be charismatic when you do that, and you have to make it not seem awkward when you're doing that. And I thought she did a great job at that. The thing that stood out to me is the action with Millie Bobby Brown. And I know she probably had a stunt double or whatever, but it's like, do you believe that character in this movie can do those things? And I did. And they set it up well with her mother training her and all of this stuff. And I'm sure, who knows, like Sherlock knows how to handle himself too. We've seen iterations of Sherlock being able to handle himself. So like, obviously they didn't grow up together or anything like that, but like that family just, has some type of, combat history or something. But I enjoyed it overall. Like, I would say my biggest flaw, Jake, is what you mentioned, is how they didn't wrap up the mother storyline. It's, even though they want to do sequels, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to. So you got to wrap that up a little bit more, in my opinion. But I enjoyed it, and maybe I'm biased towards Henry Cavill, but I enjoyed every scene he was in. And it was great that he wasn't in it that much, because he could have stolen the show if he was. And they wanted to really focus on Enola, and they're setting up like things for them in the future.
The director already said that if Netflix gave them the green light, that she would do, or he or she would do five more movies.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill is going to have a lot of a bigger role in those sequels.
He's a dope Sherlock. He's a really cool Sherlock. Yeah.
I don't know that he'll have that much of a big role because it's more centered around her.
No, I know, but what they really made a point to say like that he's going to take her on as his ward.
Yes, which I agree, but I think he'll be more. Maybe
sending her on missions and stuff instead of going on them with her.
No, I think she's gonna. They're clearly setting it up to where she can do it herself. She's gonna learn from him. But I think it's gonna be her, because she's a detective, and he said you are a detective. So I think they're going out. I don't want to say out of their way, but they're setting it up to where that's the whole point. Like, I found they said it a couple times. I was talking about the kid. Like, she found this useless boy, and the whole point of it, and a lot of this movie is based around Tewksbury, the women's suffrage area, and era, and we're seeing a lot of whatever this vote is. It seemed to be a lot about women's rights and getting a little more rights and a little bit more equality. In that time, we're not a whole lot far. We were doing a lot better than we were back then, but it certainly does resonate today. And so I think that within the writing and the next story, I think it will be more of her doing it herself. Like I said, it won't be like she had to rely on her brothers or her brother Sherlock to do, because she could figure out she can hold her own. She can figure stuff out on her own.
Well, it's like the last scene of the movie where he goes into the office of the director or whatever, some government agent, and he goes, "Arrest this person," and then he says, "Why did your sister figure it out before you?" And he walks away, and he's smiling as he's walking away, because he knows, like, and he's so proud of her because she figured it out, all that type of stuff. And so, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
that's what I think. I'm just saying you probably will see a little more, because it is Henry Cavill, he's Superman, he's a big star, so you will see more of him. But I don't think it'll be like him coaching her along, guiding her along. I think he'll just be there for backup, kind of if need be. Okay. But it'll be more her story. But this movie's a lot of fun, man. I really, I enjoyed the trailers. I know there's some people that we follow were kind of like, I didn't really care that much for trailers, but seems like It seems like most people are. It's getting. A few of the people, like I said, people who follow seem to like it. I definitely did. I watched it. I forgot about it myself. Until I was just happened to be flipping through Netflix after whatever that Sunday night football game was over, and I was watching. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, one, I didn't see a single trailer for the movie, so I went in fresh. Two, it's currently sitting at 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow,
Very good.
I haven't even seen the score.
Good. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I think if they do 5 sequels, I bet you one of them would have Henry Cavill in it, like maybe just in the whole movie where they're teaming up. At least one of them would.
That's a possible. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, a team up would be cool.
And a 74% audience score too.
And those audience scores are now, they try their best to like make sure it's only one person voting once on those audience scores.
Gio, you're awfully quiet.
No, yeah, I was gonna go to Gio, man. What did you think, man?
Well, I saw the movie about 2 hours ago. I had to re-up my Netflix subscription after I canceled it. But I love these kind of movies. I do, because these are movies that I would have never watched unless either we were doing a review on it or somebody really recommended it. And that being said, I really enjoyed it. I mean,
Brian, watch the damn movie.
I did not see any of the trailers. I didn't even know Sherlock Holmes had siblings, a brother and
honestly, neither did I.
Yeah, a sister. But yeah, to your guys' point, it's a really fun coming of age story about a young girl breaking norms during that time, and just going into who she is, and going into the world and not being prepared for it, discovering who she is, who she was meant to be. And I think Millie Bobby Brown does a very good job of that. I didn't know who she was. Like, I don't watch Stranger Things, or I'm pretty sure she was in that one Maroon 5 music video. But other than that was my only exposure to her as an actress, and she really did a great job. So did that guy. Who's the side character?
Tewksbury.
Yeah, whatever his name is.
The young boy.
Yeah, him.
Tewksbury.
I wasn't very welcoming to him at first, and then he tried to, stick along. I'm like, okay, is he going to be one of those guys in the movie that he just takes the character completely off her mission, which ended up happening. But his development and his character arc actually was pretty damn good. And
Louis Partridge is his name.
Yeah, he did a great job. And to your guys' point, I think one of the few negatives is the fact that they didn't wrap up the story. I mean, her showing off who all of her skills came from her mother, and the plot was her finding her mother, and in the end, spoiler, she just ends up being there. And it's just I was like, okay, it wasn't very, I don't know, it wasn't satisfying, I guess. And I think Henry Cavill actually did a pretty good job. I think his role actually underserved him as far as who he is as an actor. Like, a lot of times he's just standing around and, great posture, a lot of, charisma, but it's just, I don't know. I was hoping to see a little bit more of him in his detective duties. But other than that, I think this is how you do kind of a new storytelling as far as famous story, as far as putting a female character in the center. I think this is the right way to do it, and I want to see more sequels. So if there's 5 more, I'll take 5 more.
Yeah, that's a good point. They could have just made another Sherlock Holmes movie, which we have so many of, or just TV shows, but they decided to go with Enola, which is pretty cool. Keith, you look like you had one last thought before we move on.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, as far as the stuff, really fast, but about her mother, like, I would say that I took it as that was the inciting incident, is her going out to find her mother. But I think the young man and his journey, that became the mission. She said,
she even says that, which I like, that she decided to do that on her own.
Yes, and so I think that the mother stuff was wrapped up just enough in the end when she actually did get to see her and tell her, I'm okay. I'm proud of you. If you need me, you know how to find me, with the little messages in the newspaper and stuff. And so I would say that in that sense it was wrapped up, because okay, well, at least she knows her mother's okay, whatever it is that she's doing. We didn't find out specifically what her mom was doing, but that wasn't necessarily the case. She wanted to know, but she just wanted to know that her mom, where is she, what happened. I think that they will, obviously, if there's going to be more, and we'll find out later what exactly it is that's going on, and that's why you cast Helena Bonham Carter. But in that sense, like I said, again, the story is about her, right? The story is about Enola Holmes, and so and her journey, and this is like her origin. So we're getting to that point where all the stuff that her mom did teach her, and we get all the flashback scenes of her as a little girl and her mom showing her how to do all the stuff. You get all that origin stuff, and so we're setting it up to where now she can go off on her own. And eventually, I said, having Sherlock take her under his wing as well. And as far as Henry Cavill, again, he's the biggest Sherlock Holmes we ever had. He's big old boxy, like linebacker size Sherlock Holmes, which really cracked me up. Every scene he was in. But he's definitely. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes guy. I wrote a paper on Arthur Conan Doyle when I was in high school and stuff. So I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. Definitely a different version. There's no Watson. Which,
so, Keith, were you aware of these characters of Enola and his brother?
Well, this is based on I think a series of YA novels. I don't think.
Really?
Arthur Conan Doyle. I don't think, from what I don't recall ever hearing about any siblings of Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So yeah. So this is all kind of relatively new. But excuse me. But yeah, in the future, like, it's because they went out of their way to say Sherlock Holmes. I like that scene where she's with the police chief and whatever, and they're kind of debating over who knows Sherlock better.
Oh yeah. That was a
good thing.
He doesn't have an assistant. He works alone, which is like, I find that interesting. It's like, okay, there's no Watson in this universe.
Well,
so.
He hasn't met him yet, maybe, or something. Maybe we'll see a Watson in the future.
Yeah. But I would like to see, to that point, if they'd spin off. I wouldn't mind seeing. I know we've got tons of Sherlock Holmes, but I wouldn't mind Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. Yeah,
he was really cool. If he can't be James Bond, we'll take Sherlock Holmes.
Hey, as long as it doesn't conflict with Man of Steel 2 and 3, you do all the Sherlock Holmes you want.
I agree. All right, so let's do some quick streaming recommendations. We probably all have some different ones and some of the same. I'm just gonna say one that because I'm not going to take everybody else's, but I started watching Ratchet on Netflix, and I haven't had time to watch all of it yet. I've watched the first episode, and I loved it so far. So if you haven't watched Ratchet, and I've heard people that don't even know what Cuckoo's Nest is, like, loving this show. So definitely go ahead and watch Ratchet if you have not yet. But Gio, let's go to you first, man. What streaming recommendations do you have?
So I'll just do real quick. On Netflix, there is an indie darling that I discovered. It's called The 100-Foot Journey, and it's about food.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much along the lines of Burnt and Chef. It's about this family who moves to Paris and wants to open an Indian restaurant. They just so happen to open it next to a 3-star restaurant, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, one of those. But and it's actually kind of funny how, different cultures, kind of clash. Paris is very big on how food should be cooked and eaten, and then you have this other culture who believes doing it a different way. So that's on Netflix, 100-Foot Journey. And the only other one I will say is The Boys, because I know there are some of you out there who still have not watched The Boys. This latest episode is the best one out of the entire series. It only gets better. So if you're into superheroes, grounded stuff, a showrunner who is not afraid.
Grounded? This ain't grounded. This is fucking buck wild.
Grounded in this. Well, okay, maybe not very. No, actually,
I think he means, like, if superheroes existed, this is probably what our world would be.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just saying this shit's bat crazy
with contracts and all that stuff, and yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But this show is not afraid to hurt your feelings or be not politically correct. It speaks a lot of truth, and it's a show worth watching. So yeah.
Stormfront, man. That woman. Brian, let's go to you, man.
I echo you with Jacob with what you had just said. I went through that whole entire series in like 24 hours.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Nice.
There's a couple actors in there that are incredible.
Okay.
I'll
way too much American Horror Story for me.
Well, guess what? You're not the one talking. No, kidding. I like American Horror Story, so it worked for me. But I am currently on a binge of obviously the what was it? What awards show just happened?
Emmys.
The Emmys.
The Emmys?
Emmys.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was piqued my interest. Schitt's Creek piqued my interest because I was like, why is this winning so many awards? And they're 20-minute episodes and they're so short. But I'm already in season 3. So it's just stupid funny and so Schitt's Creek is what I'm currently watching.
Interesting. How about you, Jake?
So the only show that I can talk about is because I've been watching in the last 2 months. I've been watching a lot of older movies, catching up a lot of older movies. So the only show that I binged and I caught up on was Fargo on Netflix or on Hulu. Excuse me. I watched all 3 previous seasons of Fargo. I caught up on that. The show's really good. Some really, really good stories in there and actors and performances. It's an anthology series if you don't know what it is. I do recommend it. It's pretty cool, the mystery and the tie-ins and everything.
Do you have to watch all the seasons to watch one of them?
No. There's little tiny connections, but there's nothing that matters to the story.
Yeah. But I feel like
I
feel like I still should, right?
Yeah, I would recommend watching all. So a little backstory I can give on it. It's created by Noah Hawley. And Noah Hawley is the creator behind Legion, and he was also supposed to do the Doctor Doom film for Fox. And so I would definitely recommend if you're interested at all in it. The first season is Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton. The second season is Patrick Wilson, Jesse Plemons, and Kirsten Dunst. And the third season is Carrie Coon, Ewan McGregor, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And then the fourth season is Chris Rock, among others.
I've been seeing those ads for the Chris Rock one. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Chris Rock?
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend it if you're interested in a show. I wasn't actually expecting to binge it as fast as I did, and I ended up binging it really, really fast. But as far as movies, just older ones that I've been watching on streaming services, if you've never caught them before, I watched The Shadow for the first time. Love The Shadow.
Wow.
I watched Universal. Yeah, I love The Shadow. This thing's awesome. I watched Universal Soldier for the first time. Awesome.
Nice.
I watched Stargate for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Love the
Nice.
idea. Love the idea behind Stargate. I would love to see it remade into modern tech and everything, which would be really, really cool. And then I rewatched the Bill and Ted's for the new one, which is exciting. And then Jacob, I actually watched Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman as well. So I liked it. Yeah, it was a really, really good film. Really, really deep film. It's available on Hulu. A lot of these actually are available on Hulu. That's kind of where I've been doing a lot of my watching. But and also Kickboxer. That shit rocks.
Awesome. Keith, what do you got for us, man?
Had you never seen Kickboxer?
I had never seen Kickboxer. I'm currently on a Jean-Claude Van Damme binge. That's what I'm on right now.
Skip Street Fighter.
I'm watching them all.
What is the other? What is it that you just watched that you've been raving about?
Kickboxer.
What is it?
Kickboxer.
No, something. It was something else before that.
Oh, Bloodsport.
That one.
I watched Bloodsport too. Yes.
Nice.
Bloodsport's better. I think Bloodsport's better than Kickboxer.
Have you gotten a
Bloodsport
Lionheart?
is awesome. Bloodsport is my favorite out of all of them. Then Universal Soldier, and then Kickboxer.
Have you seen
You haven't
Lionheart?
Lionheart?
No,
is one of my-
they're all on my queue. I have Time Cop and
Dude.
Lionheart, and all of them on my queue right now.
Lionheart is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. Shout out real quick to Rachel. I wasn't even thinking. I forgot about Mycroft. I mentioned he didn't have any siblings in the books. I forgot. Yeah, I did. Yeah, Mycroft was in the books. I think it came along after Doyle killed him off and then brought him back. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So as far as shows, we just talked about sitcoms last week, and they put right after that they put season 4 of The Good Place on Netflix.
Yep. I didn't take this because I knew you were going to mention it, Keith.
Yeah. I texted Jacob right when I finished. I finished it, and when I was watching a little bit of it Saturday, and when I was hanging out with you guys, Jake and Brian at your house, I finished it that night when I got home. And
damn, you got home late too.
I know I did. That's how good this was. This is one of the best series finales I think I've ever seen.
Really?
And instantly shot this show up to #1 for me. It's my favorite sitcom of all time.
What?
Ran only 4 seasons.
Oh my goodness.
This finale will, if you, I tell you guys.
Well, I'm only on like episode 4, but wow. Okay.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, I was fighting tears watching this finale.
It's an amazing show. It really
so
is.
great. It really, really is. Absolutely right, Brian. Yeah, absolutely.
Gio, you would love The Good Place. Honestly,
Really?
I think you would.
It's so smart, and and I like the way that and it's on Netflix, like I said, and it just ends, and you could tell that they had Michael Schur is the creator, showrunner. He created Parks and Rec and The Office, and you could tell the way it ends, like he had an ending in mind, and it. Some shows just kind of drag on for 6, 7, 8 seasons, way longer than 2 or 3 seasons longer than they probably should. This one is 4 seasons, about 12, 13 episodes each. Boom, boom, boom. You get right through it. There's a beginning and there's an end. And you can tell it was planned out. And it's so well done. And just people and character that it ends that's so positive. It's literally one of those shows that you really do have to watch. And Jacob, you can speak to this. Like, each episode ends literally right where the last one ended. So you kind of have to. It's very bingeable, but you can't miss anything. You can't jump in the middle.
Oh,
of it.
true. Yeah.
Gotta watch from the beginning. So it's a good place. I can't recommend it enough. Like I said, I haven't stopped talking about it since I watched that finale the other day, man. So The Good Place on Netflix, and then my movie I'm gonna watch tonight on HBO because I'm very excited. I didn't know it was on there because I haven't looked at HBO in a while. But The Invisible Man is on HBO. Very happy. It's the only movie we saw this year, pretty much. It's the last movie I saw in the theater way back in March?
February.
March?
Yeah, and it's going to be the only movie you see in theaters this year.
Now he already went to
He saw Tenet in theaters.
You saw Tenet?
Yes.
Him and Jacob both did.
Why would you risk your lives? I'm just kidding.
There was
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. We were running out of time. So.
Yeah.
Has anyone? Am I the only one? I shouldn't say am I the only one. No one started Lovecraft Country, right?
No, I was curious if anybody did.
I think I'm going to start it tonight.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna wait till it's over.
Well, mentioning HBO movies, Keith, the last movie I saw before all the theaters shut down was The Way Back, and it is also on HBO.
Yes.
The Way Back, Gavin O'Connor, Ben Affleck, Gio and I were just talking about it the other day. Great film.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic film. Check it out if you have not seen it.
I have the Blu-ray actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, if nobody else has any more streaming recs, that is going to do it for this episode of Apocaflix Now. Thank you all for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And so, Jake, did I hear it right? We're skipping to the Thursday show this week?
No, the Thursday show won't be the draft.
Okay.
We're gonna have a different.
So, all right, you guys will see us this Thursday then.
Yeah.
So come back for that. But yeah, we're gonna do our draft next Thursday. Did we announce the movie yet? Or are you gonna wait for that?
Yeah, we announced on a Friday. We're doing a Back to the Future recast.
Awesome. Yeah, that's gonna be super fun. I can't wait to do that. But yes, don't forget to check out our merch store at TeePublic. Don't forget to find us on social media at Apocaflix Movies. Thank you all for watching. Till next time. See you later.